2025, for me, it's been a year of experimenting and trying some different things.
We're talking about books
sales.
now, Sarah. Try and stay on track. Yeah.
Welcome to the Two Authors Podcast, an entertaining chat show hosted by best-selling mystery and thriller authors Douglas Pratt and Nicholas Harvey, in lively, humorous and informative conversation with distinguished guests who share their thoughts and experience about forging a successful author career.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's show. We have something very special for you. No, not Doug and I. We're not the special part of this. We have something else special coming up.
We're like short bus special, so that's...
Yeah, we're in the back of the bus special, but we have something special. We'll tell you about it in just a second. So the show, as always, brought to you by Vellum. Thank you so much to the Brads at Vellum. First of all, for the wonderful product they put out. And secondly, for having the coolest color scheme that looks good on our logo. And thirdly, for supporting the show. We really do appreciate you.
I do love that purple. Supporters. That purple looks really cool. Good. It really looks great. And it pops. Everybody's like, oh, that's kind of cool.
If they stop sponsoring the show, we're going to keep the purple and just put another name in there. Just because it looks cool. Just so you know.
We might as well. Yeah. Why not? I'm sure they won't mind.
Okay. Thank you very much to our Patreon supporters. I'm Brad. Thank you for joining us. I think you know Brad, do you not?
Yeah, Brad Elder. Yeah, we hung out at Author Nation and BourCon this year. He's also a thriller writer. It's awesome. Glad to have you aboard, Brad.
Outstanding. Yeah, thanks for being there. Patreon.com/the Two Authors Podcast. If you guys want to support, free tiers plus a very, very cheap tier and you get a ton of extra stuff. So check it out. But let's move on to the show. So we're doing a yearly recap and us two numbnuts couldn't come up with two thoughts between us. So we invited some talented
We had to
people,
find somebody smarter than us,
which is
more attractive than us, brilliant.
Better in every way. They even have a fantastic podcast.
I'll stop you when you're wrong. Keep going.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jami Albright and Sara Rosette for the Wish I Know Then podcast. Join us for mayhem. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. We're glad to be here. We're glad you're with us.
Yeah, we're excited.
It was y'all's idea, but yeah.
We try to claim all the good ideas when we can, but don't tell anybody about the bad ideas, which we have lots of. So
one good one. And Sara, as the only adult in the room, you'll be expected to carry the weight here and keep us on track.
Oh, no, I can't handle the pressure.
Cool. Let's dive right in. So what we want to do is take a little recap and talk about some author stuff that's taken place in 2025 as we wind down this year. And it's been an interesting year in the author world. I think everyone would agree with that. So let's start off by talking a little bit about how your year has been, how your sales have been, and what you've been up to. So give us a synopsis. Sara, kick it off.
Well, 2025 has been, for me, it's been a year of experimenting and trying some different things.
We're talking about books
sales.
now, Sara. Try and stay on track. Yeah. I'm sorry, you were. Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens. You guys are just degrading yourselves by hanging out with us. So, and that's normally me.
No, it's been a good year. I feel like it's one of those years that not a whole lot has changed, really. Like there's been nothing incredibly shattering, like no shattering news that's like broken all the ways, the paradigms of doing things. But there are some small changes. And I mean, AI is totally changing everything. But as far as like writing books and stuff, I just tried some different things with marketing and the format I'm working in. I'm doing some letters, special editions and things like that, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, just kind of trying some different things to see what happens and trying the market. That's kind of what I've been doing. My sales have pretty much held steady, but that's pretty normal for me in the past. Like I've never been one of those people that like had a humongous selling spike, mine have just kind of always rolled along, over time they've increased partly because I have more books out. It's been a good year, but I wouldn't say it's been like spectacularly good. I think I am seeing some erosion in sales in like audiobooks and things like that. And there are reasons for that. And I'm sure we'll get to that, general market changes, but overall, I mean, it was a fine year. I think on the podcast, we talked to a lot of different authors and we hear a lot of different things at conferences and as we're, talking to people. And I feel like consensus is that things are trending down overall. Like, I think it's more challenging now.
Doug, what do you got to say about the matter?
I mean, I think Sara nailed a lot of it. I mean, sales for me kind of, have stayed about the same. So there's been not a lot of growth. So to me, also been a lot of experimentation. So like I've stepped into some new things like Patreon, and we've stepped into some subscription things I'm trying to do for the holidays. And right now I'm kind of ramping up what was my direct sales store, which kind of I'd let kind of flounder for a little bit, but we're kind of trying to pivot and focus a little bit on that. I mean, like I said, overall sales have kind of stayed about the same. I've done a lot of releases this year, which helps. One of the other things is as we go into the new year is kind of step back and take a strong look at ads again, see where we're going. Cause I'd like to get those sales moving up higher because all the cost of everything else is going up. I'd like the sales to go up with it so that I can feed myself because I'm, a big guy. So, but otherwise I think there's still a lot of potential out there. I feel like we've had a rough year overall for affordability throughout the whole country. So I think that is part of the reason we're seeing kind of flat line on sales. But I think that there's also as Sarah said, AI has helped a lot of people put a lot more books out. We're seeing a lot of books hit the market and I don't think all of them are AI generated at all, but I do think that AI has helped people put them out faster. So I think that we're seeing a lot more books hit the market, which is more competition. We got to just be more visible, and be seen. So I think that's become more of a struggle, is figuring out where that visibility is best achieved.
Gotcha. Jami, how's your year been?
I just started writing again in April, and I was running ads at the beginning of the year, but I wasn't really making just a whole lot. And so at about May, I guess I stopped. I didn't see a huge decrease. In fact, I'm making a little more because it's all profit, because I'm not spending anything on ads. That and a cup of coffee will pretty much exhaust what I've made because I'm not making a ton, but what I am making is all profit. So there you go. I've done some things with free books through the summer that did increase my income, and didn't really run any ads to those either. I just used the free newsletter, or not the free newsletters, the paid newsletters. Free Booksy has worked really well for me this year. I've used it 3 times for 3 different books, and all 3 times worked great for me. So for anyone saying, well, it doesn't really work, I think maybe if you look at it, it probably does work. It may not work the way you want it to, but I've had about 3,000 downloads each time I've run it, and I've had read through, so that's great.
Well, and I think also like how you use it. You could just drop a book on Free Booksy and don't do anything else. It's probably not. You probably have got some strategies behind what you're doing and your pricing. If all I do is I have one book and I put it out for free, then it's going to be hard for you to get a lot of traction on your other books. So I think that there has to be strategy in everything you do. And so just to come in and say, "Oh, it's not working," and you go, maybe you're not working. Not you, Jami. You're always working. I know you're always working. I'm not.
And then as far as just what I've heard in the industry from people on the podcast, the Clubhouse group we're in, is just a lot of people their income is down, but they're making up for it in other ways. Translations and stuff like that are helping a lot of people.
Good. Yeah. For me, I'm similar to you, Doug, as you know, because we talk all the time. I'm kind of plateaued this year, which is basically means I'm down because I put out more books, so it should go up. What's been interesting for me, I'm a KU author. My page reads are up for the year, as they should be, with more books out there, and that's on track. It's ebook sales that have taken a bit of a dent, and there's so much uncertainty in the US, which is my main market. And all year there's been uncertainty. So I'm going to differ from you just a tad, Sarah, in the fact that I think this, for me, I've been doing this. I'm going into my 6th year, I think, doing this now. This has probably been the year of the most changes that I feel have impacted me, just because of the way a lot of things have changed on Amazon. A lot of things have changed in the Facebook advertising world, and both have impacted me. On the flip side, I think there's some great opportunity. We're going to talk about special editions in a minute. And I think there's some great opportunities for the right authors in the right genres to be branching out and doing stuff there. But otherwise, yeah, I'm pretty happy. Writing wise, I've been Doug and I talk about this all the time. We are just pounding trying to get words out. We're not the fastest writers in the world, but that doesn't mean we're not working all the time at doing it. And we just write a little slower than some people do, faster than others. And yeah, we don't use the longer words, and I have to look them up. But I'm pretty pleased where it's going. I launched a new series in the summer. I did the rapid release of 3 books a month apart. And I spent 18 months building up to doing that. And that was something that was adversely affected by Amazon's ranking experiments through the summer. And so on the flip side of that, that series is now doing well. And with some advertising getting behind it now, it's tough with 3 books because there's not much read through, right? So your advertising costs, you don't get to recoup. The ROI is tough, but we're getting some positive reaction to the advertising, which is really promising going forward. And when I get a 4th book out in February, it's going to get even better. So let's move on to talking about special editions. And Sarah, why don't you kick us off with that? Because I know you've done some great stuff this year with special editions.
We want all the good deets, so.
Well, I will give a little overview and then y'all can ask me what else you want to know, I guess, because what I did was, so I'd done special editions on Kickstarter, but Kickstarter was just so much work. And I was looking for a way to do those but not do a Kickstarter because I didn't want to do like all the stretch goals. And it stressed me out a lot. I enjoyed it, but at the same time, I was worried and working really hard during those. So what I did was I launched it on my store. It was this year I launched book 2 in a new series, and I'd launched book 1 the previous year. So I'm only doing like 1 book a year, and I'm launching the special edition first on my store. You can get the hardcover, the special edition paperback, the audiobook, and the special edition ebook, and they have color interiors. I really leaned into making the book itself special. So it has like the end papers, this year it has sprayed edges. In the past, I'd done hand stamped edges where people could order, like, oh, I want it to have flowers on it or magnifying glasses. So this year I did the sprayed edges because it was like full color and very pretty.
Who are you using for that, Sarah?
Vellum. I do Vellum to format it, and then I do Book Vault for printing.
Book Vault, okay, to printing, yeah.
And I will say that at Author Nation, Vellum had Sarah's book front and center because it is so beautiful.
Yeah. And they are very cool. They always support me. Every time I have a special edition, I see their name come through. So that is just like the type of people they are. They want to support indie authors. So I did that and sold it on my store, had a special launch just for that. And I think I had it on my store about a month.
So you did not do Kickstarter at all then? You just did it on your store? Okay. That's interesting. Because I want to do a special edition, and I'm kind of leery of Kickstarter just because it's, like you said, it's a lot of time. And so is there a way? Yeah. And I'm inherently lazy, so.
You can't do a simple launch. But Kickstarter has all these things that if you do extra, it pushes it a little bit more. And, like if you do the stretch goals and things. If you collaborate with people and say, I'll share your campaign if you'll share mine, that really helps it. But that's just a lot of coordination to do, So a lot of stuff on the back side that you're doing. And then for my store, I did the special editions that you could get there. And I had a special, if you ordered from me, you got a printable, you got bookmark printables. And then since it's book 2 in the series, it was like a little newsletter or sampling of like a newspaper from the 1920s that caught people up on what had happened. So there was an interview with the main character about something that happened in book 1. And that there's a reporter in book 1 who kept wanting to interview the main character, and it kept getting put off and put off and put off. And I thought, I'll just use that so that they can get that, when they order from me. So I did that. I left it on my store for about a month. And then I put the pre-order up, and I think the pre-order was up for 6 weeks and wide, on all the retailers. And then once it was launched on the retailers, I took the special edition off my store and just have the regular print paperback, no bells and whistles, black and white interior. So that's kind of what I've been doing with special editions. And I feel like that's a huge trend. I feel like it's becoming more and more common, right, in the author world.
Very, very, yes. Yeah, there's some great people doing some neat stuff with it. I wish we could do more of it with the thriller side, because I don't see a lot of thriller writers doing anything really cool with special editions. So
Kirsten Marchins.
Yeah, Kirsten, she does the psychological thrillers. Yeah, let me rephrase that. I always forget people classify those as I mean, they are thrillers, but like we write more action thrillers, more, mystery thrillers.
But I mean, there's so many things you could do, especially with a mystery thriller type thing. You could have one time in one of my special editions, the character finds a note. And so I mocked up this like note that had been burnt around the edges and put a photograph of that in the book, and like you could do notes and character images. You could do all kinds of stuff. And especially if you can incorporate like the clues and stuff.
So I do have I am going to do something that's kind of a special edition because this is a 5-year anniversary in 2025 was for my first book in my Chase Gordon series. And so I'm a huge fan of like the old pulp noir books, paperback books. So I've got a cover made that looks like the old like 60s cover of, I want to do a special edition just paperback for that. So it won't be overly expensive or anything like that, but just kind of a unique something that maybe, I don't know that some of my readers as mystery thrillers would be all that. They don't want pretty books so much as.
Right. I was going to say romance does that a lot, right? With the special edition cover.
I was going to say two things. That Sarah, first of all, Book Vault just sent those out. What did you do to sign your name?
What I did in the first book that I did on my store, I knew I wasn't going to be able to order them and sign them myself and remail them. So I went in Canva and I created a signature, an image that looked like my signature. And then I put that into the Vellum file. So the books had a digital signature in them. And I put that on like the half cover page, I'm talking about the half title page, I think. Yeah. And then this time on the end papers, it has the color end paper. And then I created another image it's colored and it blends, with the image and it's got my signature on it. So it kind of looks like if you open it up like an old timey book, they would have a book plate in it of, someone. So just trying different things to see, what my readers like and what is most interesting.
And you had Book Vault fulfilling for the shipping, so you're not having to ship them from your home. Yeah, great. Okay. I was going to ask you that.
Yes. Yeah. Which saves a ton of time and postage.
I like the idea of having the signature because I think it'd be a neat way if we could to do a signature for an ebook. We sell so many ebooks. You can't really sign one.
Guess what?
They do.
You can't. BookFunnel it's in beta with BookFunnel.
Oh, see, yeah, we've got Damon coming on pretty soon, so we're going to have to chat with him about that. Yes.
Yeah, that's their new thing. And so customized, you can customize an ebook for every person who orders.
And then the second thing about the special editions is Jeff Adams, who is a romance author, gay romance author, but he also does a lot of things about accessibility. And when you are doing your special editions and you have flowers or images and the print in front of those images, for people that are sighted impaired, that is very hard for them to read. So just keep that in mind. Even though a lot of those special edition books are not for reading, they're for looking. But it is something to think about, though, if you are going to put images behind the writing. It makes it hard for some people to see it.
Even if people are buying them just to put on the shelf, you want them to be readable.
I've started with Patreon a little bit. I'm trying to do some stuff with Patreon, and I'm intrigued at how people are doing theirs. And right now what I'm doing is mostly you get chapter advance as I work on it. You get the chapters as I work on it, but also I'm doing a short story a month. That's one of my lowest tier. You can just kind of get a short story a month, or you pay a little more and you get that and the books as I'm working on them. So I think that, and that's kind of a slow build right now. I mean, I'm pleased with where I'm at. I'd like to keep it growing, but are you guys seeing anything? Are y'all using any Patreon? I know y'all do for the podcast, so we do too. So.
No, actually, you don't do Patreon for the podcast. You do another system, yeah?
I've dabbled in trying to do Patreon-like system for my readers, and they were just not interested. And I was like, okay, that is fine. I will stop doing that. That is not a problem.
It's always, it's one of those things that I think that people start going, oh, some things work and some things don't.
I think that is really the key to the whole thing. This would be because I've been like hovering over Patreon and various things, for a while, and special editions and all that kind of thing, and knowing your audience. So I touched on Kirsten, she does psychological thrillers, and she does standalones. So what Kirsten has is a brand, and the brand is Kirsten. So what she brings every time in a book is there'll be different characters, different settings, but you're going to get this really twisty psychological thriller out of it. And that's what her whole brand is built upon. And she's done a brilliant job of doing that. And you've just got to know your audience. She has a really engaged audience. So how big is your audience? If you've got 300 followers on Facebook and you've got 50 followers on TikTok and your newsletter goes out to 700 people, doing sprayed edges special editions is going to be a challenge to move them. So when you look at the percentage of people that react to whatever you present, meaning special editions, whatever it might be, trying to get them to sign up for Patreon, it's a relatively small percentage, especially when you look at your newsletter list. If you've got 10,000 people on your newsletter list, by the time it's done going out and all the gatekeepers trying to get them to go out and people that open them, and you're probably going to get, if you get a 50% open rate these days, it's fantastic. So only half the people on your list ever saw it in the first place. Half those people only showed as an open, only looked at it in the preview and just sort of scanned it and went, oh, I went back to it and then forgot about it, right? So it starts whittling down. So when you start having really large numbers on a newsletter list, when you look at the percentage game, you can still get something that makes you money from that relatively small percentage of people that react and go for it, right? And just look on your social. Is your audience engaging with you? Do you have a Facebook group? Do you guys all have a reader Facebook group? I know Doug does. Do you too?
I do, but it's gone cold. Mine's gone cold.
Yeah, gotcha. And it's tricky. You got to cultivate them, right, and build them. And they're a slow build.
People weren't seeing my posts. It was about the same 5 people every time that was engaging. And it was just a lot of mental energy. And I was having somebody do it for me. And this year, at the beginning of the year, I stopped because I felt like it wasn't worth the money.
Well, the other thing, too, to remember about direct sales and Patreon and all this stuff is about, like, whatever number you start with is your list or whatever, about 1% to 2% of those people will actually convert when you ask them to buy. That was the statistic that Russell Nolte told us when I took the class about Kickstarter, and it is held true. So, if you think, oh, I have 700 people and, 500 of them will buy, that's probably not the case.
That's about a good number. When I look at the number that actually click and buy off of it, I can get a little push, but I'd say 1% to 5% is about what kind of response you get on anything. And I think it has nothing to do with them not wanting it. I think, again, like Nick said, how many emails do our readers get every day? Not just from other authors. I mean, like, how many times does Firehouse Subs email me? And, more than my mother does. So
they know their market, Doug.
They
know their market. That's why they keep telling me you may
be more loyal to Firehouse Subs and Pizza Hut than you are your mother. I'm just saying.
Look, if I wanted to have a discussion with my mother, I'd have brought her on here. No, but I do think I think there's a reason that they do keep sending those newsletters. Like, we do get there's a Firehouse Sub email that comes once a day because they know they got it timed. They've figured it out. They have a strategy behind what they're doing. I think that sometimes we have to kind of think the same way.
But too, we have to remember that we're not corporations normally. They have like whole marketing departments to run those things. And so if we try and if I tried to be like Sephora, send a deal every day, I would be, passed out cold on the floor because I just couldn't keep up.
And I think we also got to remember we're cultivating a fandom and people that are really going to, and those are the ones that we really want. I guess there's probably fans, super diehard fans of Pizza Hut, but at the same time, I think what we're trying to do is convert it a little bit differently. We want to engage them. Like, if Pizza Hut ever answered my emails, then I might be more inclined to buy from them on a regular basis, So I think that I try to answer every one of the emails I get, even if it takes a while. But I think that helps really cultivate this feeling that people really want to be involved in our writings and in our characters and our books.
Yeah, and it's super fans, right? What we're trying to get is those super fans, and those are the small percentage of the people we actually reach. It's the one thing that's always surprising is how many people that are on your newsletter list that have never read one of your books. Everybody has them.
I did a thing just this year that I tried it. Is I was selling the first 12 books in my series, and I basically set it up with my newsletter so that the very first one will go out on Christmas Day. So you could gift all 12 books to somebody and just come, through Book Funnel. You'll get once a month, one book. And so I put it out there kind of hoping. And so I did it for $9.99. And then Black Friday, I dropped it down to $5. And I was kind of surprised. Didn't take off. It's the first year I've done it. So there's a lot of, problems kinks I kept running into, but I think it's been successful enough. The next year I'll do it again and grow it a little bit more and do something else with it. But it's kind of a bonus thing that you throw on there and just kind of set it up to go. And once it's done, it's just going to roll out. And I've automated it because I do love automation, so that I don't have to think about it. Because again, did I mention inherently lazy? So if I can think about doing something so I don't have to think about it again, then that's the way I like to do it.
That's also smart, though.
I wish you'd tell my wife that, because she says lazy. I'm going to say, but Sarah said smart.
You've got to overcome years of her observing you to ever give you a check mark on smart. I'm in the same boat. So one more quick thing I'll throw out there. So I've got an experiment going on I've just sort of put out there is one of the books I wrote in my A.J. Bailey series. I'm doing one a year in those now. It came out last January, called Cemetery Beach. It was about, the backstory was about a band from 1969 and do a lot of dual timeline. And so they were making an album on a boat during this mystery adventure thing that met my characters in the Cayman Islands. So the bonus, I created a song, and that was for the newsletter sign up. There was a song. You sign up for the newsletter and you could go to the page on the website and listen to it. And so I was pretty excited about it, and I kind of got into it. And so I wrote the rest of the album. So I wrote all the lyrics for the rest of the album and then got the music produced for an album. And I'm having vinyl LPs pressed. So a limited run of 100 of them, proper pressed like you buy in the record store. And it wasn't as expensive, not nearly as expensive as I thought it was going to be honest. I mean, the making of the music potentially is more expensive. I was able to do it in a very economical way. But that comes out in January when they get delivered. And so the new book in that series is coming out, and there's kind of a follow-on to that whole story and wrapping up some parts of it. And there's another song that's a bonus. And then you can buy the vinyl LP with 11 tracks of original music from this band, Luna and the Lanterns, who is, I guess, my alter ego. And
so they're a fictional band, right? They have their own LP. That's awesome.
Yeah, but so are the Monkees, and look at them.
And we still know about them.
Also,
right?
What he doesn't tell you is this is a jug band, and so all it is them playing in the jugs the whole time. But it's absolutely.
Oh my God!
It's brilliant.
It's not, to be clear. But anyway, we'll see how it goes.
No, it's not. It actually sounds really great. I've listened to it. It's amazing, but it's
on pre-order now. So we'll see how that goes. So cool. Let's jump to social media platforms and talk about those a little bit. Doug, why don't you kick us off, Mr. TikTok guy? You've been gaming it up on TikTok lately.
Well, gaming it up again. I do have somebody who runs my TikTok for me, which is my wife, and she's been doing an amazing job. So I don't have to think about it. But this since Author Nation and having missed Adam Beswick's talk at Author Nation, I had to kind of catch up on it. But I started doing some lives in the last couple of weeks to kind of promote this whole subscription base I was trying to do for the Black Friday. And so that's been kind of a learning curve as we're trying to learn that and figure that out. But I've been watching a lot of other people who are doing it and doing really well with it. So I was like, well, it's another opportunity. TikTok is kind of, it's starting to grow for the action mystery thrillers. I mean, there are psychological thrillers are all over it. Romance, romantasy, fantasy, they're sci-fi thrillers and mysteries, kind of not a lot, but I think there's people out there that are looking for it. I mean, there's.
So I have a question for you, Doug. So creating TikToks, do you try and find something that's been successful for someone else and kind of do the same thing? Or are you trying to find an original path?
Oh, for sure. I think because you're relying on the algorithm. And so like today, I actually was making videos and she made one on Canva, which normally she just does on her phone. So she's trying something different. When she posted that one, TikTok immediately kind of gave her a warning that this may not get a lot of views because it's unoriginal, or I forgot the exact phrasing they gave her.
Oh, so you're going for original. So I was saying, do you copy or do you go original? You're saying you go original?
Well, no. It's the video. The video needs to be original. Whatever the theme may be, like there's some different ones, like you'll see some that get very popular with, and she'll know a whole lot more about them than I would. But it's as you start watching what is the popular thing, like, hey, it's, what was the other day? It was something about, I just walked in and what I saw, and immediately walked in, and it's like from your point of view of your character or something like that. And so we'll look through what Book Talk is doing, and there's so many people posting about it. You can see the ones that are getting good traction. But the funny thing is, you could post one video and get, when she posts the video, she doesn't get any views in the first 2 seconds. Then that video somehow just doesn't ever get any. It's kind of strange. The minute you look at it, like, if you're not immediately getting views, then that video is not grabbing hold. And that could be the algorithm. It could be any number of things. So I think she's been like taking them down and put them back up at a different time. It could have to do with the time. It's one of those weird mysteries, kind of like Amazon algorithms, that you're like, I don't really understand how this works. No one else does either. So please do, if you know more than I do.
Jump in, Jami.
Well, I would just say, I'm all over TikTok, mostly as a user, stick it in my vein and, sit there and lose my mind.
Freebase some TikTok, huh?
Freebase and TikTok, yeah. But I would say that, one, don't take it down. Just either leave it and repost it at a different time because nobody cares, or put it to private, put it to private. Don't take it down. Don't delete anything and take it down. And sometimes I will repost the same video 3 times in a row, just trying different times, trying different hashtags.
Without taking the other one down, Jami? You don't take the original down. You just repost the same. Yeah.
I don't think very few people are going to your profile to scroll through your thing. So if you are just throwing it up there and it's not doing anything, Jami's right. It's not going to hurt.
I look at a lot. I do go to a lot of people's profiles, but even if they have the same video, it doesn't bother me because I know what they're doing, And so, I've had a few go mini viral, but nothing, a couple of book related ones, but it's my content's all over the place, but those are my suggestions.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, like, you hear also some people say, make sure you you curate it so that what you're looking at is what you want people to look at. So, like, I wouldn't want to necessarily go on and look at how to build a shed on TikTok when I'm trying to sell books.
Really? I'll sit and watch that crap.
Oh, no. My wife gave me a whole separate TikTok to watch for that. She's like, this is yours. You can use that one. And then this one's the one that I'm not even allowed to touch because I might fuck it up.
So anyway, but yeah, mine is very all over the place. But then again, so am I. And I've always sort of branded myself as opposed to just brand my books. So, I don't know. I have a lot of followers, but what I learned at Author Nation is it doesn't really matter how many followers you have. Yeah, you can have a video pop off and change everything if you only have 300 followers. My first video went super viral and I had no followers.
I've not had any super viral. I've had one that hit 11,000. I was pretty pleased with that one. So, but I want a super viral one. Now, we just added our TikTok store, which simply connected to my Shopify store, which was kind of easy. It was a full day of making sure everything lined up. But once we did that, it seemed to be easy. And that's, I think, another avenue. I think it's just kind of like looking for different avenues, and TikTok is another visibility. For our genre, like, my demographics for my readers they skew a little older, which I think is fine, but I do think that there's younger people who would be interested. It's just a visibility thing. And so TikTok is a good chance to maybe be a little more visible and at least also get some name recognition out there. So when people see you, like, oh, I've seen your videos or something like that. So,
Sara, what's your social media outlet of choice?
Well, I'm not very good at it, and I mostly stay off of social media, but I do use Instagram a lot. When I do use it, if I'm going to post about my books, I usually post on Instagram. I did have a period, like maybe a couple of years ago, where I just found mystery people who like to read mysteries, and they were on Instagram. And so I still have those followers there. And if I have a new release or something, I'll go over there and put up a post. I still have X because I've had it like forever. And on X, you can actually create your own list of people that you want to follow. It's the only social media platform that you can have a list and you can go over and say, okay, what are these people saying? Everybody else, has the feed. So I check in there to see what people are talking about. I don't post over there much. I aspire to use Pinterest more. That's my plan for 2026 because I feel like that's where my readers should be,
I feel like Pinterest has got some potential. And I heard David Viergetz talking about the scare mail at Author Nation and advertising on Pinterest.
I think it gets overlooked a lot because it's not super interactive. It's not like you're going to go there and post and comment. You post your stuff and people find it, and then hopefully they go buy your stuff or buy your book or read your book.
Cool. All right. So
Nick,
time's dragging.
Answer that question. You didn't answer us. What's your
social media? I fucking hate social media. So, but I am on it, of course, because you have to be. I'm on mainly Facebook and Instagram. So I have someone who helps me. Cheryl, my wife, helps with some of the social media, but I have a VA who does quite a bit of it for me. I generate good amount, virtually all of the content, and then I give it to her and she schedules it all. And so in the business management, you can schedule out 4 weeks in advance. So Lee schedules it all out for me. And then you can also link it on Instagram. So they post on Instagram all the time. So, and I have a reader group. It's not huge. My following on Facebook isn't massive. It's, 2,500, 3,000 people. I think it's not huge. And I'm up to almost 300 in the reader group now, which actually I'm pretty happy with. And so the reader group definitely see more of your posts than just the posts you put on your feed, your general feed. So we just split kind of what we put between the two different places. What I do get a lot of reaction from is a couple of days a week, we do some sort of interactive stuff. We do some silly name game things. Cheryl builds them. They're hilarious. And so people answer, they pick, your month of birth and your first letter of your mother's name or something. I don't know where it is. And you come up with a silly name. And that gets really good interaction most of the time. And then we do a Friday favorites that gets good interaction more than anything else. I'm on Blue Sky, but I don't spend any time there really. I've just sort of got a place and Lee pops some stuff on there. There's no advertising on Blue Sky to this point. And so, but we've got a little bit of a presence there. But I'm pretty allergic to TikTok, and I'm probably going to have to go over there. But I think you got to pick your poison, right? Just pick where you're comfortable, where you think your readers are. That's a big part of it. Where do you think your audience wants to see? I did a thing in my newsletter where I did a thing in my newsletter and asked people where they were getting their social media, and Facebook won overwhelmingly, despite the fact of so many people leaving Facebook at the beginning of this year.
I think that's a quote unquote leaving Facebook. Like everybody leaves Facebook and then they come back. It's like I'm leaving this town forever until Christmas when I got to come back. So that's that's the.
I will say Hallmark movie, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Facebook is the Hallmark movie. We should have a whole thing. You did say something.
It also depends. I think a lot of people did leave, but people are coming on all the time, and it depends on your demographic.
Yeah, it's hard to leave because so many places organized through Facebook. Like if you're a kid, if you have kids, a lot of times their sports stuff is organized through Facebook, and it's hard to totally disengage.
Yeah, we've kind of gotten entwined with it. There was something Nick said I think that is important. Like I think if you're doing Facebook as a regular method, in order to not drive yourself insane, is that scheduler that they have on the business side. And if you have a business page, then you should have access to that. And you can go in and, like Nick said, set posts up for a month. So you can spend a whole day doing posts for an entire month and not have to think about it again other than responding to them. And I think that, some people get overwhelmed by trying to post every day. And I think that is a good way to kind of manage some of your time.
Yeah. Before the podcast this morning, it's 5 to 9 here in Australia. So I was up at, 6 this morning. I spent an hour and a half making graphics for the new release that's coming up. And I just send them all off to Lee, and then she puts them in the scheduler. So that works pretty well. All right. So we're 45 minutes into this. So this is definitely going to be a 2-episode edition. We'll come back and hit on some more stuff. We actually only hit a quarter of what we were hoping to hit, but let's wrap this one up with a question for everyone. Jami, you're going to start us off here. So what do you think has been the biggest game changer, influence, or challenge in 2025?
AI, dude. I mean, come on. It's like, I challenge you guys to come up with something bigger. And I don't say that as a user necessarily, though I do use it for my blurbs and for brainstorming ideas. I find it really, really helpful. AI translations for a lot of people have been just a huge game changer. And love it or hate it, that's not for me to decide. Some people cannot get over the original sin of AI, and I respect that, but it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, my feeling is they're going to be left behind with that too. They're going to find that things are going to be just as hard. Like somebody I noticed on Threads making this blanket statement. I'm like, I just kind of shake my head because I'm like, you're kind of missing the point.
I don't want to be like traditional publishers were 15 years ago or 20 years, whenever ebooks started. We're just not doing that. It's not going to affect us, or we can still run our businesses the way we've always run them. That simply isn't true.
Yeah, everyone's got to find their place with it, right? That they're comfortable using it.
For everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just pick your line on it. And if you just can't stand it, I hate to tell you, but you're using it. You're already using it. It's impossible not to use it because everything you go on online has some influence in it at this point.
It's not just the AI. It's people's comfort level with using AI. And people are more open about using it.
They have been, I think, in the last year. And I'm going to second because that was going to be my answer, too, is AI has been so huge this year. You looked at it 2 years ago and people, I think it was really 2 years ago at NINC when it was first started. I kind of coming, maybe 3 years ago at this point. Time flies as you get old, right? But it's changed so drastically. I mean, a year ago, people would have been up in arms about anything that had to do with that. You had this, and now there's still plenty of people who are up in arms about it. But a lot of them have kind of converted over and realized, hey, I am using it. It does come in handy. It's a tool. It's just like anything else. For those of us who do this as a business and not a hobby, we have to look at whatever we're going to use for tools. If I were just writing a book and I write my memoirs and I don't, I want a handful of people to read it, then I don't have to care whether or not I use AI. Just like I don't have to care whether or not I have to advertise. I've just put the book out there for the handful of people who plan to get it. But if I'm doing this because I want to make, a mortgage payment, then I got to think about how to make, how to increase my revenue and how to increase my sales. And AI is going to be a tool for it. It's not substituting for editors, but it's cleaned up my writing a little bit. I don't use it to write with, kind of like I use it for brainstorming more than anything else. But I have started using it a little bit to kind of check make sure my tenses are correct. So, because I'm real bad about switching somewhere in the middle. So it still goes out to my editor and she made a comment. Hey, there's a lot less to correct in here because I'm cleaning my manuscript up after I write it. So I think there's lots of uses for it. I use it to help me figure out marketing. I mean, it can help me come up with, I've come up with marketing plans that I've put into place, have been working. I have uploaded my dashboard and my KDP dashboard into it and came up with business plans based on that. Now, whether they work or not is, we'll see, but it's still something to think about. It's definitely a useful tool. And if you're not using it properly, then you may be missing out on that.
So there's the AI segment for the show that we were going to do next time. We handle that. So Sarah, what's your biggest influence to you?
Well, I mean, I would have to agree and say AI too, but I'm looking at it as an author who was traditionally published in 2006 in the beginning. And I was with a traditional publisher and all this stuff was happening with the ebooks. And that was not on my radar at all. I had no idea what was going on. And I even had readers at signings come up and say, when will your books be out in ebook? And I was like, I don't know, because I wasn't in control of that. And if I had been paying attention, I could have been writing books on the side, because I did meet people who were publishing books, putting them on Kindle for $2.99 and making a boatload of money. And I was like, really? Tell me more. But by the time I figured it out, and 6 years later, 10 years later, I finally figured it all out. So I just want to know what's going on with AI so that I'm aware of what's happening, because I just feel like it's changing everything. And if we don't know what's happening, we don't know the possibilities that it can do for us. There are things that it can really help us out with. And I feel like that's a huge change. And it's just a change of it really helps me research because, I write historical. So I've gotten to where I'll have my manuscript open, and then I use Perplexity AI, which it gives you a link to where it found the information. So I can type in, hey, I'm writing about the Devon coast. Tell me what birds would be on this area at this time of year in 1923. And it will find the article and link to it, and just saves me a ton of time. So it's like being able to use it stuff for like that. So I think that's the biggest change, like in the industry, and then for me personally, it would probably be just deciding that if I'm going to do these special editions and experiment with doing some different formats, I have to pull back a little bit on the writing to take the time to do that and learn something new. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah, those are my big changes.
Great. I mean, I agree with all three of you. AI is probably the biggest ticket item influencing all aspects of the author world at the moment. But I'll go with my personal influence this year with the two biggest things was Facebook ads. I know there's some people claiming that Facebook ads are better than ever, which I really have a hard time believing. But there are authors making Facebook ads work still and work really well for them. And it's great if you can. It changed for me. Last year was a big year for me in growth, and it was mainly because of Facebook ads and getting Facebook ads to work, and then the changes that they made in the platform and targeting and using basically they insist on using AI. It's ruined my Facebook ads, and I've tried quite a bit of stuff to try and turn it around. I haven't tried enough stuff, but I've tried quite a bit of stuff. So the result is I've ended up turning them down. And honestly, it's part of the reason that the lack of success with the Facebook ads has been a part of the plateauing this year, I feel. And the thing that we got to remember with Facebook ads is Facebook ads aren't built to sell $2.99 to $5.99 ebooks. That's not where their money comes from. Lowe's spend, billions. Airlines spend, millions. And big ticket items that, Land Rover, if they sell a Land Rover, they can pay for a lot of Facebook ads to not sell Land Rovers before they hit one, right? Whereas you've got to get even with read through in a series, you've got to get a good bang for the buck. So
what you're saying is price for books like a Land Rover? Is that what I heard?
No, that's not no. Ashley's right about you, Doug. No, it's tricky, right? It's harder than ever. And that's one of the things that we talked about at the beginning here is right now the author market is harder than ever. There's more people coming in. The competition's higher. There's people spending, I know a friend of mine is spending an inordinate amount of money on their Amazon ads, and they're buying bids at such a high amount, and it's killing everybody else, right? Because it's hard to compete with that and get ROI on it. So between the Amazon ranking games that they played, and I get why they're doing it and trying it, but it has massive influences sometimes depending on what we're doing. It did for me this year. So those are the two things. The changes on Amazon, it's still different. It's calmed down. It's not the mess that it was back in, I think it was June. But yeah, there was a few weeks there that it really was a mess. So, but it has shifted now. And so your whole release strategy has to change to get ranking and stuff like that. So for me, they're the two big things. So, well, this will be episode 1 because we got so many more things to get to, and we'll do an episode 2. But this has been brilliant, guys. It's been brought to you by the Two Authors podcast and Wish I'd Known Then podcast, doubling down on you. Thank you so much to Vellum for your support. Thank you for our Patreon supporters, and be cool to each other. Do you guys have a sign-off thing you say? You can say something.
We just say, see you next week.
You've been listening to the Two Authors podcast with Nicholas Harvey and Douglas Pratt. Subscribe on your favourite platform for new shows coming every week.